This week on Media Delta, Labyrinth. Let's see if this movie deserves to be thrown into the bog of eternal stench. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Media Delta. We have a very interesting movie to take a look at. Because we are discussing Labyrinth. Now, Labyrinth is a movie that came out in 1986. The reason why we were taking a look at it is that we briefly played the Japanese only, for some reason, NES game that was based on it. But we kind of wanted to talk about the actual movie that it was based on because it is a fascinating movie. I will give it that. I was not the only one who watched it. So please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Axe, and I'm here for David Bowie's Potpourri Packed Bulge.
I'm the portable stove, and yeah, that.
I'm Torpotypus, and I'm here to be reminded of the babe.
What babe?
The babe with the power.
What power?
The power of voodoo.
Hoodoo.
You do.
Do what?
Remind me of the babe.
Okay.
That was a good
Nerds.
moment we shared together.
Yeah, that's the one. I would say this is a very quotable movie, and by quotable movie, I mean that one part.
No, we
that
don't have.
one
Oh, there we are.
very standout part. So yes, Labyrinth is a movie that was, as I said, 1986, directed by Jim Henson. The Muppet guy. So this is technically. I feel calling him the Muppet guy is a bit reductive. Jim Henson is a puppet genius, who's actually this work is kind of often paired with a movie that he did prior to this. Which, if I can figure out some way to do this, I want to do it. Which is The Dark Crystal, which is another. This in Labyrinth and Dark Crystal are kind of paired together as kind of experiments for Jim Henson to do kind of, and I'm saying this in air quotes, more mature puppet works, because I wouldn't this isn't super family unfriendly, but it's not something I would give to kids.
David Bowie's Bulge.
Everyone loves it.
Also, the wall of hands in the fireys in a lot of things. This movie is just kind of horrifying.
In fact, I have the exact minute and second that we see the glory that is the Bulge, and that is.
See, I appreciate that there's a drinking game for Labyrinth, and that is drink every time you see Bowie's Bulge, and that is a way you can die.
I found a few drinking games. Like another one was anytime someone says that something's a piece of cake. Every time every time Hoggle growls, every time Sarah complains, every time. I'm trying to think of something else.
Every time Ludo refers to himself in the third person.
The second time that Hoggle appears, I just wrote down Hoggle 2 Dwarf Boogaloo. But no, at minute 34, second 25 is the glorious appearance of David Bowie's heavily potpourri packed Bulge.
Yes. Let's answer some questions about this movie so that we can kind of do this on our normal format. So, Axe, what was your general impressions, and is there any particular element you'd like to bring up?
So, I don't know how to this is I liked it. I like this movie a lot. I wouldn't say that it's my favorite, one of my favorites. It's definitely up there. The puppeteering is fucking phenomenal. And if there's anything to talk about, it's just the fact that Jim Henson, as you said, was a puppeteering genius. Just every single puppet in this movie comes off a very lifelike. You could tell it's a puppet, but there's just something lifelike about it, and it never really hits that uncanny valley level of uncomfortable. Like Hoggle, for example, as we mentioned, Hoggle is just a diminutive puppet that just wanders around, but they've did it so well that you almost for a moment believe that it was actually, an actual. I forget what he was.
Like costume or something like that?
Not even just like a costume person, like it was an actual thing. Like it was really there. I want to make note of one bit of trivia. The character of Sarah is played by one Jennifer Connelly. And if you might remember, one of my favorite properties happens to be Clock Tower. And in the movie that inspired the game Clock Tower, the main character is played by Jennifer Connelly. and that came out before Labyrinth.
Yes, Phenomena. That is
Phenomena.
something that I noticed that when I was watching this too. I'm like, God, I can't see anything with Jennifer Connelly in it without thinking of Clock Tower now.
Yep.
But yeah,
But yeah, the puppeteering's great. The sets are fantastic. I mean, there's just so many. There are missteps in terms of pacing, writing, and plot. And Jareth is very much a creeper. But just my overall
Jareth.
what
oh,
what.
PT.
But no,
Yeah, in
it's
PT, you make the baby giggle by saying Jareth repeatedly.
God damn it, that's what that is.
Yes.
For the longest time, like, what the fuck is Jareth? And what is? Oh my god. But anyway, yeah. So I liked it. I thought a lot of things were great about it. There are a couple things that I think they could have done without. There are some scenes that either drag on too long or just straight up don't belong. And as much as people like Dance Magic Dance, I didn't like any of the music numbers. They come out of nowhere. They serve very little purpose, and also the Bog song sucks. And that's kind of where I'll leave.
Okay. Any
right.
particular scene
Oh, a particular scene
or element, or is that what you said?
I'll stick with the puppeteering is just so good. It stands out amongst everything else in the.
Okay. Stove.
So this is my first time seeing this movie. I had heard a lot about it, kind of over the years, but I didn't know a single thing about it except that Jim Henson was the puppeteer behind it. And this was also at a time as well that I didn't really know much about David Bowie. I mean, I know of him now, of course. But, in terms of like watching it for the first time in 2020 as a adult, I thought it was fine. Like I would hesitate to say it is a movie that I would be scrambling to watch again or watch with a bunch of kids or anything like that. Because kind of as you said at the beginning, I would hesitate to call this a kids movie to begin with. I will say one thing. The element that I want to call out is that I kind of do like the world itself, like the world of whatever it is, because I don't even remember. I didn't take notes.
The world of goblins.
The world of goblins.
Yep.
I liked the setting for sure. It was very creepy. I particularly looked at the cluster of eyes that were on the wall. That sucked. I hated it so much because it creeped me the fuck out. But yeah, I enjoyed Bowie for like he has immense charm, like infinite charm in this movie. It is a very, very charming movie in that respect. Oh, I do not like the acting in this movie one bit, unfortunately. Like, it's extremely bad. Like at the very beginning, when Sarah is just complaining the entire time to her parents that a baby is taking all of the attention. Also, I have no idea what fucking age she's supposed to be. She looks like she's in her 20s.
She's supposed to be 16, I believe.
16, and she's jealous of a like 5-month-old. Alrighty.
Maybe
Bert doesn't. Bert agrees with you. Apparently,
she might be 17. Like I think they mentioned something about her last year of high school. Like I know she is at high school age.
Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, I didn't particularly like the acting that much. I just kind of liked how I just kind of liked the like how much David Bowie just kind of put into his role, like just kind of throwing himself in there. That doesn't necessarily mean that I like the way that anything was really acted out. And yeah, I do agree with X. None of the music really resonated with me. Not even Magic Dance or whatever it's called.
yeah, close enough.
It's Magic Dance. That's the name of the song.
Magic Dance, okay. Close enough to actually getting it. I did laugh at the credits music though, just because one of those like screaming, singing songs that I just fucking adore. And hell if I can remember what it was, because I watched it yesterday and I pushed a lot of it out, unfortunately. Enough that I can still do this podcast, but
It's all that voodoo that you do.
Yep.
that's all I got.
It's weird when you're in the middle of it. It's kind of hard. It's either at the beginning or not to remember that whole thing. Torpo. I think he might have.
I was muted because I took a phone call. That I then immediately blocked. But regardless, it was a fine movie. It's a perfectly okay movie. It's a movie that's all about the puppetry, the actual acting. The main character is just a whiny teen, and that's fucking whatever. David Bowieing it up, but otherwise, it's about the puppets, and the puppetry is absolutely fucking fantastic. It's fucking Jim Henson's workshop. How bad could it be? But there's no real plot there. It's all loosely strung together pieces of, hey, we want to make puppets for this, or hey, we had these puppets lying around.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel coherent, but it doesn't really need to. Is honestly.
Yeah. Um, I can definitely kind of feel that. My general thoughts on it were
Oh
it
yeah, I didn't
was
get to
oh
a
yeah, you're
scene.
seeing.
I want to talk about a scene. I'm gonna
What's
talk
your
about the
scene?
time that David Bowie tried to seduce a teenage girl.
Yeah.
um, so that happened. At one point, David Bowie turns the glass ball into a peat. That's apparently absolutely disgusting and has a worm in it. Has the main character eat it, and she gets really high. And imagine she's at a ball where David Bowie seductively sings to her, creeping on her from around the ballroom as she runs around. And it's the most out of place fucking thing in that whole movie where nothing makes sense.
And then they dance this very uncomfortable, close dance when you're just kind of like, Bowie, no, no, don't Ted Nugent this. Come on.
I mean, yeah, remember that Jareth is supposed to be like hundreds of years old. He's the Goblin King.
Uh,
Yeah.
I believe at the time that David Bowie was 39.
I mean, I'm not talking about David Bowie. That's still
I
gross.
I,
But I meant,
I just wanted to point that out. So it
Yes.
is a
yeah,
39-year-old David Bowie person looking. Yeah.
but yeah. It's such a weird, out of place scene that never really needed to be there. Especially because it's not showing off puppets. There are no puppets in that scene.
Yeah.
It's
That's
just a
that's,
bunch of random assholes in masks.
that's one of the scenes that I really felt could have been cut out entirely,
S-
and you wouldn't have missed anything.
yeah. Um, there is something that I kind of read into that I feel kind of explains some of that. So in the very beginning of the movie, like right after Sarah basically has a tantrum and throws up, goes to her room, um, you get this, or I can't remember if it was that or if it was in the credit sequence, but you get a panning shot of her room, and you see a bunch of things going on in a line. For example, you see her teddy bear, her stuffed animal collection. You then see copies of Where the Wild Things Are in The Wizard of Oz. Then you, in a few other books, I can't remember exactly what it is. And then you get a shot of her mirror, which actually has apparently has some David Bowie like stuff on it. So it's kind of there's supposed to, I feel like there's supposed to be a plot element that is not quite fully developed. That's actually this is supposed to be kind of her like a dream that she is having. Which why makes sense then why you would have this why David Bowie's in the movie to begin with, and two, why um it's all about this play that she is focusing on and why like that get uh, is it Ambrosius who's the dog?
Yeah,
That
Brocious is
Sir
the dog.
that Sir Ambrosius looks like Merlin. And like there's a bunch of things in the actual dream world that reminds her of like her actual life. Which in the things that are like reflective, like her like whole dance scene with David Bowie is basically her just having kind of a crush on David Bowie. But regardless, that's still it's still a little weird. But it was a interpretation that I thought that was kind of interesting.
Also, the
Uh,
sweep was at the start of the movie. Yeah.
yeah, I do like that blatant placement of where the wild things are because that it's very
Yeah.
rarely that you see. Hey, this is what inspired this movie. But yeah, was that basically what your thoughts on that scene were?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I I think that this I don't dislike this movie, but it is a movie that for me, it is a movie that I will watch, let's say once a decade. Like it's like, oh yeah, that's right. This movie existed. I'll watch it like, huh, and then I'll put it back on the shelf. It's not that it's like I said, it's not that I dislike this movie. It's just there's a lot to take in with this movie, and it's not something that it's not for me rewatchable because it is like unless you're like really really into like the technique of like working with Muppets, then you might want to watch this. But other than that, it's like, oh hey, it's this, and that's fine. Uh, Now in hindsight, what this actually the flow of this reminds me of is have you ever seen like the 70s era Muppet Show?
Oh
I
yeah.
How
have, yes.
there is a like episodes of that show, they would have a celebrity guest, but then there would be a very loose plot with a bunch of kind of more disjointed like skits and all that. That's kind of what this movie reminds me of. Is that it's a series of disjointed sketches that have a very loose tie to them.
That's also Monty Python and the Holy Grail did a similar.
Yeah, yeah, actually kind of like that. Where it was, yeah, technically these have a string together, but really they're kind of their own thing. So yeah, that's kind of my general thing. And the one element that I do want to bring up, because the thing that I actually the first time I watched this movie, I just straight up skipped this. Like I skipped like 20 minutes after that, so I think I ended up skipping the dream sequence as well. The Bog of Eternal Stench can go away. That
Yeah, weird
I
that you of all people wouldn't enjoy it.
yeah, that I that just no. I did not like that part at all.
Smells bad.
Also, so the idea of a bog of eternal stench is hilarious to me because bogs are fucking disgusting, and smell like shit to begin with.
Yeah, just imagine like you accidentally fall in and now you smell for the rest of your life. Haha, fucko. But
Yeah, there's no such thing as a bog or swamp that isn't of eternal stench. They're all awful.
they're stanky. But no, like that whole section was just
Gross.
prolonged, gross, and the musical number that accompanies it was the worst song in the not second worst song. I'd say that the worst
Prolonged
song.
gross fart jokes.
Yeah,
Yep.
the worst song comes at the end when like she's running in the non-Euclidean room.
Oh, you didn't like Within You?
God.
I mean, the song's fine. It just felt really out of place.
It just felt like
Yeah.
That entire fucking scene is David Bowie styling on the main character, but
there is a reason why I listen to the soundtrack of this movie more than actually watch it.
what's up, Stove?
So while I was watching it, there was a little glitch when they were when the small dog guy, I don't remember his name because
Ridiculous.
yes, that Didymus. Didymus was explaining, I can't let you pass because you didn't ask me permission or whatever. It froze on a picture it froze on him, and then you could just hear "smells bad" like in the background without panning over to show anybody else. That fucking killed me, and it wasn't even part of the movie.
And also, doesn't Hoggle walks past him without his permission?
Yeah, he just runs past.
So like, and they don't touch on that. They don't mention that as cut. Like I expected that to be the thing that undoes him. It's like she's like, well, Hoggle just went across. And he's like, oh well, I failed. I guess I should join you then. But no, he just kind of leans back into it.
Yeah, that part didn't make a whole lot of sense.
Box.
Uh, anyway, so speaking of the characters, why don't we go elaborate on them more? So, Torpo, how'd you feel about the setting of this movie / the characters?
As I said before, it all just feels like an excuse to show off these sweet ass puppets. The setting is kind of barely there. I did like the idea of look for shit where it isn't, because there you'll find it, but also that very quickly went away.
Yeah,
I also did like the one part of the labyrinth actively fucking with the main character every time she tried to draw down a mark, because it was funny.
yeah.
But overall, it just feels like loosely strung together stuff for the sake of showing off these sweet fucking puppets.
Man, I know it's somewhat of an off tangent, but and I hate the fact that this is the game that I had a thought about this stuff. Could you imagine, like, if a Souls game did a thing where if you put down a message at some point, that if you were in a particular level, it would warp around where those messages would go?
That would be hilarious.
That would
But
be
yeah.
horrible.
But no, it's just kind of there. The characters are the main character, Whiny T, never really progresses beyond that, even in her big moment of glory. She still just kind of feels there. She exists to move the plot along. David Bowie's fun, but also just kind of exists to move the plot along. But at least he looks cooler.
Yes.
And just in general, it's about the puppets. It was always about the puppets and David Bowie, but it's about the puppets. Also, the soundtrack's really good, unsurprisingly.
Stove.
Yeah, so kind of as I said before, the setting. I really like the setting. There's just something about it that just kind of screams this is a 80s this is a 80s family movie with a bunch of like dark things. It kind of reminds me of the Neverending Story in a bit. A bit. Yeah, I know. I know. Um,
Yep.
it reminds me of the Neverending Story in that it's just kind of, high fantasy in a sense. The characters, like was said before, Sarah's just kind of a whiny brat, and Jareth is there, but like he's just there to move the plot along and be cool and show off his package. Um, and yeah, none of the puppets really stood out to me honestly, except Hoggle, just a piece of shit. Um, it's like, oh, I'm not your friend. Oh, friendship is good, I guess. I don't know. Fuck the guards in the bog. They suck ass. Um, and yeah, I don't know. I didn't really care for the characters. I like the setting a little bit.
It's actually funny you mentioned the never ending story because I keep on every time I see the bog and I'm like, oh wait, is this the part where Ludo just sinks in the bog forever? But no, that is a different thing. X. Unless you were
Um,
were you done?
I'm good. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, setting. I can 100% agree with both Torpid and Stove. The setting's pretty. I like the setting a lot. I thought I thought it was a lot more connected than everybody seems to be kind of saying. I guess I'm kind of the lone voice on this. I thought everything had a fair connection. Whether or not it worked super well, is debatable. Like we found sections that are definitely we could have done without. The bog was funny as sort of an aside joke, and then they take us there and completely ruin the joke. And that kind of sucked because having the bog sort of as this thing that even in the world of imagination is still a terrible thing to imagine, and then having it realized, it just kind of takes away, and then it's just one long fart joke, and it's just kind of like, okay.
Just constant gross fart noises. It was
Yes.
the worst.
Just toots all over. I do want to point out my other bit of trivia. This is something I learned. Oh, I forget when, but the origins of Bowie's bulge, because Bowie's bulge is a character unto itself and deserves to be spoken about. So, as it turns out, Bowie stuffed himself as a joke, and they thought it was funny enough, so they left it in. But it doesn't end there because Bowie sweats a lot. So, to offset the fact that he sweats a lot, they also stuffed him with potpourri. Now, a lot of the puppeteers had to be at ground level, were very much bulge level with David Bowie. So a number of them had to put up with his sweaty potpourri stench. And I just wanted to point that out. But
Thank.
so happy to, but in terms of characters, Jareth bored me. Like it felt like it was David Bowie but super creepy. I like Jennifer Connelly. I'm a big baby about that. I love Phenomena. And seeing her brings back a lot of memories of seeing Phenomena for the first time, watching, playing Clock Tower. So it's a lot of different things that are unrelated to the movie in terms of her, but there's just that connection towards just seeing her on screen. In this movie, I think she chews the scenery up in good and bad ways. Uh, the beginning part where she's throwing the tantrum, she really does make it seem like she's a bratty little teenager. She does a good job of it, even though she's very annoying. But then, like, you get to the scenes where she's in the labyrinth for the first time, and she's so overwhelmed, and she's just throwing herself with absolute drama against the walls. And I loved it. It's so unnecessarily dramatic, but it's like I liken it to a Peter Stormare scene. You don't need to be doing it this way, but I guess this is the way you're gonna do it. Hoggle, Hoggle's kind of mixed because it's like, okay, he wants friendship, but he doesn't understand friendship because of the Goblin King. But they keep flip flopping him too much, and I felt that it hurt the character a lot. It does suck. Sarah doesn't really learn any lessons. It seemed she just sort of stays the same character throughout, almost immediately realizing, oh, hey, I screwed up by wishing that my little brother would go away. The kid just is there to cry and be a baby and get, conspicuously thrown around during a song.
Also, gotta be real quick. Also, the big lesson she learns at the end isn't some sort of like big moral lesson. It's that Jareth has no power over her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how she beat Jareth, is by, oh, you can't actually defect
You
me.
you actually remembered your line from your play.
Yeah. Like
Huh?
there's I like some of the characters, but it's a lot of mixed baggagery for me. That's not a word, but it is now.
That
Bagagery.
Baggagery.
the problem was that there was another piece of trivia that did bring it to mind, but I just forgot what it was. Right. Actually, now I remember. You mentioned the baby. So I forgot what his name was. But there's a fun little bit of trivia about the baby that actually, like the actor for the baby. Um, he now works in that new Dark Crystal movie as an animation guy, which I thought was incredible. I don't know if that was like it was like, oh, huh, the guy who played the baby in Labyrinth is now an animation guy. So let's put him in the Dark Crystal just as a funny nod, or if that's literally like if that was just a happenstance. Because if it was, that is phenomenal. To be honest,
Yeah. Like a number of the characters are really interesting. I do like the dog knight. Um but then the big ogre dude just kind of is there to shout a single line.
Ludo.
Sure. I forgot his is it Ludo?
it is
I
it
forget.
is
It's
Ludo.
Ludo.
It
I
is
just
it is
remember it
Ludo.
because everyone made Ludo narrative dissonance jokes. Just immediately because everyone is incredibly unfunny.
But like his character really was boring. Okay, he could control rocks. That's cool. It's cool. We'll only use it a couple of times, and one of them is wasted on that shitty bog.
Also, he
Yeah,
always refers to himself in the third person and speaks in broken English.
Yeah.
Smells bad.
he looks
So
like a giant version of that one character from the Looney Tunes. I forgot what his name was.
Taz,
Gossamer?
are
Gossamer,
you?
yes, big red
Oh, big red
birdie.
dude. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Gossamer.
There's just if they had gotten rid of like the bog scene and done a little bit more with Ludo, I think it would have been a lot better. And also get rid of all the musical numbers. I know you've got Bowie. I know you have to justify the price tag for Bowie, but we could have done without the music.
I mean, you can do a Bowie movie without music. We might take a look in June at a movie that does that very well.
Oh, it's real good.
It's also a very different kind of movie than this, but
Did I
Look,
miss?
I like struggling with the gay thoughts, Lolo.
Did I miss the Zoolander video game? What are we talking about now?
no, we are talking about a movie called Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence, which is
Ah,
yes,
man.
not
It's about struggling with the gay thoughts.
in a Japanese POW camp in World War II.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
But
It's
yes,
very good. Like, unironically, it's very good.
we will discuss that again in June.
Right.
But
But
yes,
yeah,
so,
that's pretty much. I'm kind of getting a little long in the tooth there. So that's just my thoughts on the characters.
yeah. Yeah, I like the Labyrinth. I think there's a lot of neat ideas for scenery. As I mentioned, I hate the bog of eternal stench. Other than that, it's fine. Character wise, Sarah is just like I found her to be kind of annoying, but then again, that is kind of what her character's supposed to kind of be. Like she is just a high school student that's trying to deal with her inner thoughts. Hoggle to me always thought like I don't know what stereotype it was supposed to be against, but he seems like he is meant to be a stereotype of something. I just don't know what. There's something just unfortunate feeling about his design to me. But yeah, Hoggle sucked. I did not like Hoggle at all. Ludo was fine. Like I like Ludo. I like the big furry kind of friendly characters. I always like it when the big guys all friendly. And Sir Didymus and Ambrosius are also very good. Jareth is David Bowie, and I don't like that's the other thing where I feel like going into that interpretation that it's supposed to be all in Sarah's mind, that like who is meant to play the Goblin King for this play that she's doing, that she kind of has some somewhat romantic things. Why her crush David Bowie. Um, I and that's like the only reason why I feel that Jareth would play the Goblin King when everything is else is just like a normal goblin, while Jareth is David
David
Bowie.
Bowie. David
Yeah.
fucking Bowie.
Um,
Everybody else is warty and gross, and here's just
and just Like the other like incidental characters are all fine. The Fireys are horrifying. Um, which were the guys who would throw their body parts around. Also, I do want to point out that wall of that thing of hands was also incredibly creepy. But also,
Uh,
it's like, oh, that's actually kind of cool that you're doing that. This is horrifying. It's going to be in my nightmares.
I'd say the body part throwing guys was a lot goofier just because it was very obvious green screen the entire time.
Yeah.
Yet,
It looked terrible.
watching this in higher definition does not help.
Yeah, we've mentioned on a couple of other media deltas when there's some excessive green screen use, and this movie is egregious throughout the entire bog section with the green screen.
Yeah, like you could even see like the brightness of like the people are like it's not naturally lit.
Yeah.
Like in the fiery scenes, Jennifer Connelly just glows. Like she just straight up glows compared
there's
to
just
everyone else.
There's this weird black border around everybody that you get when your green screen is kind of not super good, and it's a crying shame when the rest of the film has all this great like animation and puppetry and all these. The practical effects are fucking great. The hand section, that was so cool the way they had the hands all move in different ways to simulate faces and talking.
Yeah, the constant shifting of the hands to make different faces as it went down. The hands themselves never even using the same positions twice to make faces. It was really good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so clever and so well done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing I do want to point out because before I forget, because I just looked it up because I was curious. The budget for this movie was $25 million. Its cumulative worldwide gross was 13 million.
Wow.
So it did not make its budget, which is a shame, but still. Because I was thinking, I'm like, maybe this didn't have the budget that you think it did. No, it had a pretty high budget, but yeah.
Let me tell you what probably would have sold it. So there is that one scene again in the bog where fucking what's his name, the shitty puppet, the one that's
Hoggle.
Hoggle, yeah. It's like, oh, I don't know if I should what I should do with the peach. And I thought he was gonna throw it away. I really hoped that Jareth was just going reason. I really wish they would have done that, and I think that if that would have happened, it would have been the best movie of all time. They should have included that one thing in the trailer. That's it. There you go. Go see the movie.
Also, the thing I find funny about Hoggle is since I have IMDb up, uh, the voice actor for Hoggle was Brian Henson, aka Jim Henson's son. So he had his son play the shadiest character in the movie.
Well, it's not unlike the Raimi brothers, where Sam Raimi would have his brother play stupid characters like Evil Dead 2. He was Henrietta.
Yeah, but it just feels weirder with your son, who is also apparently very much like he is also a producer now.
Guess what movie he produced?
Was it
Dark
Muppets
Crystal?
from Space?
The Happy Time Murders.
Yup.
Great.
Oh yeah.
We can hold that thought up for a different question that I have on this list.
Sure, sounds good.
Yeah. So yeah, that was just my general thoughts on the settings. So we brought up this almost. I don't think we use this phrasing. But Axe, this like we mentioned, how do you feel this movie? Like, does watching this kind of give you more of a tech demo vibe for it, or just a hey, this is a production flex?
I mean, I thought that just having Bowie on set was a flex unto itself. I didn't think like the puppetry. That's the thing about Jim Henson. I don't think anything he's ever done, at least from my recollection, was ever felt like a flex. It always felt like it was something that he really wanted to do and he was having fun doing. Like he never came across as the kind of person who would brag through his work. He knew he was really good, but he shared that with everybody around him. At least and I know I'm totally going to bat for a dude who's long since passed. Rest in peace, Jim. A guy that I never knew, so much so that I called him by his first name just now. But we're on a first name basis, he and I. But
Parasocial
Talk to his
relationships are
ghost
great.
all the time.
I can only call him Mr. Henson. I don't know him that well.
My good buddy Jim and I right here.
It just
Hey,
feels
check out this picture of me and Jim right here.
It
There he
always
is in
feels
the
weird.
background. You can see him.
Yep.
It's weird calling somebody you don't know by their first name because it's so formal,
I-
but
Jimmy boy.
I think it's also the fact that
casual
it's
rather.
Jim Henson, not
Yeah.
like James Henson.
Not
that I feel
Jimothy
also.
Henson.
Jimothy Henson, thank
Jimothy
you.
Henson, yeah. But yeah, no, like you could tell. I think at least from a lot of the stuff he's done, his stuff was never really trying to show off or be braggartly about it. He was always coming across as just very sincere, very genuine in his work, and that shines, I think, in this film. I never once got the feeling that he was trying to like flex on anybody. Um, it's just the situations are loosely connected, but I don't think it was tech demo.
All right. Stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. There isn't really much honestly to put in there. It seems like a good precedent for like puppeting movies, but also he'd been doing this since the like 70s or early 80s, like with the first Muppet movie and all the ones that followed that.
I
In
mean,
terms
never
of like
forget the fucking coffee ad.
in terms of like the blending the setting and all the green screen stuff and the puppeteering with that, I yeah, I wouldn't say that it's necessarily a flex or a tech demo or anything like that. It's just more Jim Henson being Jim Henson and making something that looks really good because he is a, as you said before, puppeting genius. That's kind of where I am on that.
All right. Torpo.
So yeah, there's nothing tech demo about it. I could argue it's a production flex just because look at this puppetry. Everything he does is fucking great, but that's more just Jim being Jim, Jimmy boy, Jimothy. But yeah, no, it's just his work's always been really good, and this doesn't feel like an exception to that rule.
All
It
right.
just feels like Jim wanted to do some fantasy shit. Here's some fantasy shit, but also Jim Henson puppetry.
Yeah. Um. So before I give my answer, I do want to. I did look something up. Because it was just mentioned here because I wanted to. I was looking up something for kind of talk about the end. But we were talking about Jennifer Connelly, how we weren't sure how old she was. Um, at the time that this movie came out, uh, Jennifer Connelly was 16.
So
So, like during the initial production, like when it started, she was 14.
Oh,
So, yeah,
jeez.
she is really young in this, which makes the whole behaving like a child kind of acceptable. Because go figure, it is an actual child that is doing this.
but
Fuck
it also makes the dancing scene 1,000 times more unacceptable.
Yes, it does. Yeah. But yeah, I more just put that there because I do feel like it just feels like anything that like you watch any sort of Muppets big production that a lot of it seems to be um like they do good work. Like there's a reason why Jim Henson is known as like a master, like a puppet. Like
A
I keep
puppet
on
master.
I was trying to think of a different way to phrase it than puppet master.
wizard.
Puppet wizard actually sounds better for Jim Henson.
But remember, they're not puppets. They're Muppets. They're not
Yes.
quite a mop. They're not quite a puppet. But
I
man,
mean, technically, we shouldn't be using the term puppet when you're doing Muppets because there is a different bit of
Ah, yes, they're
Yeah.
felt golems. You're right.
well, there is so it's what is a marionette puppet, I think, because there is a technical reason why you shouldn't refer to them as puppets, but
because
nonetheless,
puppet masters will send Blade after you and kill you.
it's something about like somehow Muppets also have a bit of marionette work with them combined with normal puppetry. But anyway, yeah. Um, so this was kind of brought up our next question, but it's just something I wanted to talk about because the ending kind of really comes out of kind of nowhere. Um, and Torpo, was Sarah supposed to learn anything? Like, because
Uh,
the ending is just like she has this thing. It's like, oh, like she realizes, like, oh, maybe there are certain times when I can leave my like childish things behind and work on other things. But then at the end, it's just dance party with all of her puppet friends, Muppet
yeah,
friends.
so that's the weird thing too. It's just all of a sudden it's like you can call on us whenever, and then you learn it wasn't a dream or some shit. Like,
It,
no, they were there the entire time, or she's gone insane.
it's great. It's great because it's like So the moment that like she defeats Jareth, it's back to her room. She sees that Toby is still around. Her parents come home and she's like has the look. It's like, no, Toby, you can have my stuffed animal. I look like I'm starting to like I did the oh I learned something today kind of thing that movies do, and then it's like then she looks at the mirror and then she gets reflections of all of her things. It's like so it's like, oh yeah, I can think of like I can think of this when it is time to like be creative or something like that. Like maybe
These
I
can
could
give
use
me
this.
strength when I think
Yeah,
back on them.
yeah. Then all of a sudden you turn back and oh, dance party! Everyone has the music come up. Here's the poppers that came out of nowhere. Here's her parents gonna come up and have a fit. So yeah, sure.
Yeah,
Sarah,
she was supposed to learn a lesson, supposedly, and like learn to not be bratty, but she never really learns that, and all that really happens is she remembers the line from or the book, whatever.
Playbook.
From her nerd shit. She was fucking LARPing in the park.
Well, I think she was supposed to be like in drama or something like that.
LARPing in the park. Look, what else is was a play than LARPing with an audience?
I can't believe you'd say shit like that. I can't believe
But
you're
you're
not
not
wrong.
denying it.
I'm
Why-
not denying it. I just can't believe you'd say it out loud.
Why would you be so controversial and brave, Torpo?
Is that
That's
I,
it.
yep, go.
All I can understand is that Sarah learned, hey, maybe I shouldn't wish my baby sibling away. Because, yeah, the ending does come out of nowhere. It's just like Labyrinth Master Sarah calls everyone in for a huge party, and then it ends. Like, what the fuck is that about? But yeah, I don't know what she was supposed to learn. I guess she was supposed to learn, yeah, something about her childhood or something, but instead it's just more, hey, maybe don't ask goblins to kidnap your baby sibling. Just don't do it. It's a bad idea.
But I want to meet Bowie.
Do you though? Because then he's gonna give you a peach, and then you're gonna dance a creepy dance with him.
And then he's going
It's
to
fine.
eat,
I'm an adult.
he's gonna eat the baby, probably. I don't know what the fucking Goblin King was gonna do.
I
Well, they
think
were.
that,
He said that they were gonna.
He's turning
the
into a
kid was-
goblin.
yeah, they were gonna just turn it into a goblin, basically.
It's not to say that they couldn't do that through just eating the baby. Who knows? I don't know anything about goblins.
don't think- I don't think goblins work on zombie rules.
No, the whole
How
point
do
was
they
turning
work
the
in
baby
goblin?
into a goblin after the time limit was up.
don't
Yeah.
they do wait, I was gonna say, don't they work like that in Goblin too?
But also, the time limit matters so little that you kind of just forget about it.
Don't you mean Troll 2?
Yes.
Time troll.
Troll 2, which it was all goblins.
I-
But no, they turn you into vegetables and then they eat you.
Right, I knew it was something stupid like that.
It's fair. I wish there was a Troll 2 game.
Hey, while we're on the topic of the ending, what the fuck is 13 o'clock? Like, I guess I wasn't paying attention that much, but what the
it-
fuck?
it was-
13 hours. It was 13 hours was the time limit.
Yeah,
But
so
okay.
1 a.m.
But then he
It
went
was
like-
midnight.
Fuck it. The time limit doesn't matter. I'm speeding it up anyway. Fuckface.
Enjoy.
Well, that was wait. So are you? Is that yours? Then
Yeah, that's mine. Fuck 13 o'clock. Go ahead.
okay. So when Bowie does that, he does that in response to her basically constantly saying, "This isn't fair" or "This is easy." And I think so. She immediately learns the lesson that hey, maybe I shouldn't make shitty wishes because they might come true. She learns that right away, and then the rest of the movie's more about her having to come to face with her own brattiness and realizing that the world isn't fair, and she's gonna have to be a lot stronger than she has been and learn how to face these issues a lot better than she normally does. Like she couldn't throw a tantrum every single time and have things work out. And that's one of the lessons she was taught when Jareth changes the time. And she's like, "Well, that's not fair." He's like, "Yeah, no, welcome to the adult world." And then she pulls the same thing with Hoggle when she steals his jewelry, and he goes, "That's not fair." And she gets the realization, "Oh shit, yeah, the adult world kind of sucks." Just
Welcome to
unfair
the
things
real
happen.
world, jackass.
Yeah. So I think she learns a number of lessons, primarily mostly about growing up. But I don't agree with the consensus that the dance scene at the end with all of her friends is an indication that she's hasn't learned anything. I think if anything, it represents how it's okay to hold on to some childish things and still retain some degree of childlike innocence in the face of all of this crappiness that is the adult world. She's giving up her doll for her baby brother, so she is growing up in a way, but there's still all these friends that she made along the way that remind her of her creativity, of her innocence, and just the little things that keep us grounded in our own lives as adults in the face of a lot of injustice and a lot of unfairness. And that's just what I got from it and what I felt she learned as lessons.
Yeah, and I agree. That's definitely what I feel like that they were trying to like. I feel like that, like the initial time you see like Didymus and Hoggle in the mirror, like that's what they were going for. It's just kind of funny to me, that like it went from, oh, I'm having this realization to 5 seconds later, like it went all dance party. Because usually, like these kind of movies that kind of do that, it's like, oh, I have the thing, I go to sleep, I go the next day, I see it in the mirror, and then it's a different day or something. This was parents come home, not even have time to come up the stairs yet, and then it's already dance party. I just thought that sudden
Yeah.
juxtaposition
Yeah,
was
I
kind of
get.
funny.
Yeah, the point is, yeah, it wasn't that it was like, Muppet friend. No, it's that she was having like this moment of, you guys have taught me so much, and then, oh my god, everyone's on the bed and we're fucking partying just out of
And
nowhere.
what I will say though is I don't understand why some of the antagonistic characters are there because they didn't teach her anything. They didn't help her or anything. They were just there to make her life miserable, like the birds and the regular goblins. You know that's the one thing that I had an issue with.
I
But yeah,
the thing that I could potentially see that if this was supposed to be your dream, like the thing that I think of it as is like if you think about the kind of act, like if you think about it in the same way that playing with action figures, you don't just have the heroes, you also have the villains. So if you're
sure.
thinking about the Muppets all as her kind of like, I don't like star systems to of a specific kind of thing, but her universe of characters, you have the villains and the and the heroes at the same time because
Yeah.
they're both necessary for that kind of role play thing. Yeah, at least that's how I saw it. And yeah, yeah, and that's just my thoughts. Um, so this is our last thing is kind of talking about something that I don't know if I would call this an adult Muppets movie, but basically I kind of said that in a way to distinguish this from say the normal Muppets things, which are normally very children friendly. So Ax, what are your thoughts on a more adult or at least older person Muppets
Well,
property, I guess?
it's obvious this movie wasn't entirely marketed towards kids. It has a lot more mature themes to it, and its message is again, it's about growing up. It's not about holding on to childish things or you know, immersing yourself deeper into childish things. And the Muppet stuff was always about being zany and goofy and not really tackling those kinds of things. Whereas Whereas this movie has, it has a more it's a young adult. I'd say this is a young adult film.
Yeah,
Um,
that's a better way of phrasing it.
yeah, and it's very clearly aimed at teens and young adults and people who are starting to aim towards their, adulthood. It works really well. You know, Muppets, like I said, they're not quite a mop, they're not quite a puppet, but they're useful in a lot of different scenarios and situations. And I thought this was
Also, I just want to point out that the first time, like in the intro thing, you see a bunch of Goblin Muppets in her room as she is about to summon the Goblin King. The first time in this movie, you see a full-on Muppet like on screen, is Hoggle pissing in a lake.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
You're right.
I just
also wanted
wanted to point that out.
I also wanted to point out because I forgot to mention it before. We were talking about the insanely good puppetry. Every puppet has such a wide variety of expressions. The range of expressions is huge, and just every time their expression changes to fit the way that they're talking in the mood of the scene, it always just threw me just how good it was. And that's me done.
Yeah. Uh, Stove, what are your thoughts on a more young adult or actual adult Muppet production.
I think this kind of works as a young adult Muppets movie, just kind of bridging the gap and saying it's okay to be a child, but also realize that maybe don't be a shitty child and don't wish your baby sibling to go to fucking Goblin Land.
Yeah.
I'm trying not to talk over the break.
Yeah, their input's very valuable.
Yeah. I think that kind of thing can work, but see, the thing is, I think there is a difference between an adult Muppets movie and a mature Muppets movie. You can
Yes.
you can make a Muppets movie that maybe tackles some rougher things or is able to like bridge that gap. And then you have stuff like Crank Yankers or Avenue Q or the Happy Town Murders, where it's just, hey, it's Muppets, but they're saying fuck and this one has a willy, there you go. It doesn't work because then it just becomes, well, what's the substance here? There's nothing except you're seeing Brian Henson make a puppet and also have it fuck for some reason. I think this works better than pretty much anything that would have been considered adult Muppets movie, like following that.
Yeah. Now I'm just thinking of various things that happened in Happy Time Murders, and I'm not happy about it.
So it's more like unhappy time murders.
I'm just
No.
remembering Silly String.
I still haven't seen it, so that means nothing to me. But I assume that it's bad.
Yes, I will tell you
it is
after
the thing.
recording.
It is the thing you might think it would be. Let's move on. Hey, Torpo, what do you think about adult Muppet movies?
I don't.
Good.
I mean, the problem is the word adult's thrown around too much, if I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
there's a
it-
difference between adult and mature.
Yeah, it's a phrasing thing on mine.
No, I'm just saying in general, it's saying we want an adult version of X is a very stupid thing because it usually ends up full of puerile bullshit and incredibly crass and usually with a slur or two at a minimum. But
Hi, food fight.
yeah, no, I don't know. It's we don't need one. I fucking tackling mature themes. Yeah, no, that's fine. Like actually talking about shit that can be talked about. Yeah, no, but like too often the term adult is thrown around and it just ends up being pure algo.
Yeah, actually, now what it makes me think of, actually, a thing to kind of compare it to, actually, especially when you think of adult versus mature, um, is a different. It's not Muppets, but it is a different kind of practical, like marionette, which is Super Marionation, like the Thunderbirds kind of stuff. Like Thunderbirds was a marionette show. It was a straight up puppet show, but it was trying to do like sci-fi, like
Flash
a straight up
Gordon.
sci-fi classic version. Uh, except for that 2004 movie, which kind of took that all out. Uh, and then comparing that to being a mature thing, to say something like, say, Team America, for example, which is an adult version of that,
America,
which sucked
fuck
and
yeah.
was almost more immature
Actually-
than the actual show.
You want to know a mature fucking puppet show that's great?
Thunderbolt Fantasy.
Thunderbolt Fantasy, motherfucker!
See, y'all keep mentioning these things. No one's mentioning "Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared."
I've never seen
I don't give a
that.
fuck about that one, honestly. It's really.
It's
I feel like
It's
after the
Thunderbolt
first
Fantasy though. It's fucking wuxia puppets.
couple of times that you see it, it's just kind of
yeah. I watched all the. It's a surrealist adult Muppet puppet affair, and it's kind of supposed to be more of that juxtaposition of puppets and just really not super heinous, but just out of the comfort zone things happening.
yeah. You
None
know,
of
what,
them.
I'll give you that. That's true.
Yeah. But I think "Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared" is a good counter to, say, Avenue Q, which is supposed to be, immature, puerile, but for adults. And then you have "Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared," which is a little more cerebral and intended to kind of like, flip the head on uh, a puppet show that teaches you morals and lessons. But what if the morals and lessons are not very good and everything just spins out of control?
Yeah, I'm taking a look at screenshots from this on IMDb, and I can already tell just exactly what this thing is going for.
Yeah, and it's interesting because there's an overarching story that comes to a head in the final episode, but it's it's kind of like Pet's Cop, where it's a very vague story and it's left to the viewer to decide what's happening.
Look, let's never use our imagination.
No, the imagination is bad. Except no, Figment. I miss Figment. Anybody remember Figment from Disney?
Nope. I never
Look-
had the Disney.
Look, all I'm saying is Thunderbolt Fantasy, good shit. Wuxia puppets, it's fucking great.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah.
Man cuts his own head off to send it on an eagle. Actually, it's a bird of some sort.
All birds are eagles. Everybody knows.
To give news. It's great.
So he's one of the young dudes.
No.
They carry the news, you know.
Anyway, I think that's good for answering our questions. So let's go ahead and actually rank this. So, if you are not familiar with this, we have a 1 to 21 ranking scale for which we normally rank these things. 1 being absolute mastercraft, can't be improved. Well, it can be improved. I shouldn't phrase it like that, but basically, it's basically some of the best out there. And 21 is not even ironically good. It's just bad. Like, it's not even you can have fun with it bad with friends. No, it just sucks. Ax, what would you think about giving this in a 1 to 21 scale?
So I have a tendency to put things into ranges because my opinions can be kind of malleable. I want to put this one somewhere in the blues. I don't think this is a Mastercraft film. If it was just about the puppets, I would absolutely be throwing this right into like the top 3. But this is definitely more in sort of the blue area because you do have Bowie and his creepiness. You do have Connolly and her brattiness. And you do have the Bog, which completely fucks up so much.
Oh.
So
Also, I do want to point out, I would say Jareth and his creepiness.
well, yeah, well, I mean, I mentioned both the actors by name, so fine. Jareth is creepy, and Sarah's annoying. And
like,
okay,
I know
sorry.
what you mean, but something
Yes,
there's something about it just.
Yes,
like,
yes, no.
Dave,
I know what you're going for, and you're right. Yeah, no, Bowie himself was not creepy. Rest in peace. But the character Jareth was.
Yeah.
So,
So the blues would be 7 through 9. All right.
Yeah, I think it's a good place for it.
Stove.
Yeah, I agree with that. There was a lot more good than like bad, and none of it. And even if it was bad, it was just more like wasn't my jam. So yeah, I would stick around the blue.
Okay, that's 7 through 9. Torbo.
Y'all need to learn to pick some fucking numbers. Jesus.
To pick a number.
I'm
I'll
gonna
say
pick
7.
a number.
They
Yeah, I
are
was gonna
both
say-
7.
Yeah,
so
7.
7.
7's fine.
Okay. All right. So yeah, so general consensus 7 through 8, 7 through 9 for Axe and Stove. Torpo is just straight up 7. I personally, I was kind of my range, like kind of at the beginning of this, were actually the greens, so 10 through 12. But it's more the fact that I don't know how I feel about this movie because it's not, like I mentioned, it's not a movie that I watch often, but it is something that I feel you need to watch at least once. It might not be something you like, but I feel that it's weird for me to say this. I feel like I am better off having seen it once at least because it's just this weird thing that you're never going to see in anything else. So I do feel that 7 might actually be a good spot for this. But let's compare this to what we have.
Plus, otherwise, you're gonna have to argue with 3 other people.
Yeah. So just a comparison of what we have so far. Things that we have, like, so this is going right now in our essence list. So right now we do have a 7, and that is Tron. So I could see putting it at the same level as Tron. I do want to point out that what we have below is do we have an 8 in either of them? No, we have 2 9s, which are the live action Street Fighter and Area 88, which I could see. Like, here's the thing. I would say if you were to watch, say, having not watched either of them, that I would say, like, if you're saying, oh, I want to watch something. Do I want to watch Labyrinth or do I watch Area 88? I would probably actually say, if you've never seen either of them, I would say Labyrinth. Same with the Street Fighter live action movie. There's been plenty of movies like the Street Fighter action or like live action. There is nothing like Labyrinth.
It also helps that Labyrinth is easier to get into, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
despite it being somewhat off-putting in certain spots, it is much easier to get.
Also, I wouldn't necessarily put Labyrinth under Tron, to be
Yeah,
honest, because
yeah,
we were fairly divided on Tron, and I
Yeah.
feel like we're way more together on this one.
yeah, because that's the thing. If I'm saying like Labyrinth or Tron, I would say Labyrinth.
Agreed. Yeah.
If anything, that is actually a potential putting this up to 6. Which let's look at what we have in 6 so far. So in I know one of these is contentious, so I'll leave that one out to the side. So two ones we have at 6. We have the Mortal Kombat movie and we have the Hunt for Red October. I Part of me does feel like the Hunt for Red October was a better put together movie. Same with the Mortal Kombat movie. So
Hunt for
maybe
Red October was way too long and dragged a lot.
that is true.
I would still watch Labyrinth over Red October.
That that is true. So I could see bumping that up to 6 then. Which I would be fine with that.
Yeah, it's fine to me.
Yeah, I'm cool with it.
And yeah, we don't have. Well, here's the other thing. We don't have anything. We don't have anything in the 5s. The closest thing we have is we have 1 4 right now.
Don't need to fill numbers for the sake of filling numbers.
Are we
That
gonna
is true.
somehow talk our ways up to a like 2
No,
or something?
actually, no, we don't. We don't
No,
really.
hold on. Keep going, Stove. Yeah, keep going, Stove. Keep going, Lolo. I want to see how far you bring this movie up.
I don't think it's going above. It's not going at 4. That is for sure. I don't even think it's going at 5. I do think 6 is probably good.
6 is good, yes.
Yeah, 6 is fine.
That's good.
It's possible
too
to
much.
It's possible to want to watch something over something else and not put it in a tier above.
Yeah, because that is also true. Because Hunt for Red October, I feel, is a good put together movie. It is long. I'll give it that. But yeah, so yeah, let's just do 6. So
Put it at
wow.
5.
Yep, and this is episode. I think this is 25. Yes, it is. Okay, so it's episode 25. So, will we call this a kids movie? Because I'm looking at the
You
stuff
don't have
that I
anything
have.
for young adult.
It seems more like just a family type movie than just directly for
I think
kids.
I have.
I would call it
family.
fantasy.
It's fantasy. It's definitely
Yeah,
fantasy.
fantasy.
Let's
Yeah,
go
I can
fantasy.
definitely do that. Fantasy. How about fantasy and the silly one?
If Bowie is your fantasy. Yeah, that sounds fun.
Okay. So I don't know if this have any. I don't think that anything really counts as content because it's all anything that's in it is way too mild to give it like a note.
Yeah.
I mean, the worst you got was Hoggle peeing.
I don't know, the farting bog was pretty bad.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
but that's not like a.
do I wait? Hold on. Do I have a? I do have one that is graphic. Well, technically that doesn't count, but
Graphic flatulence.
graphic depiction of bodily functions.
Yeah, but that
everything
wouldn't
in
be
the-
more like pooping.
Do you have anything in the way of like
Yeah.
No,
body
it's just
horror or
like
anything
fart
like that?
noises, but I wouldn't call it anything like what?
Would you? I don't know if I'd call this body horror, or are you talking more like the hands?
The hands, the eyes, shit like that.
Like a thing that is like this might be off-putting.
Yes.
There was particularly like the limb swapping I can understand.
Yeah, there's some body horror in this.
And maybe you
there-
don't even like the Muppets. Some people might find the Muppets scary. Who knows?
Yeah, but then you're just kind of splitting hairs.
Yeah. At that point.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? I do feel like I should have let's just call this unnerving something, which I don't know why I'm adding this because it's going to change. Unnerving stuff. Yeah. So
Very descriptive.
yeah. So yeah. Congratulations, Labyrinth. You're the first winner of the content tag of W for weird.
Ugh.
Okay. So do we want to call out things for music, charm, cinematography, storytelling, action, and artistry?
Music and artistry.
Artistry for sure.
Artistry, yeah, I thumbed down the music. The music numbers were terrible.
Music was good. Fuck you.
No, they weren't.
Yes, they were.
They weren't.
They were. You're just a baby.
okay.
I didn't like them, but
I'm in the middle here.
Lolo, split the difference. How do you feel?
How about I put that your mileage may vary tag?
yay!
Congratulations, no one wins.
My favorite kind of losing.
Yeah. So yeah, obviously the music can be kind of. I will put the your mileage may vary tag Although personally, I would go on the thumbs up side. But anyway, yes.
How would we feel about Charm?
Yeah, I feel like
It's
Charm.
charming.
Yeah, I feel like Charm should get it. As weird as it is.
What about gameplay? How'd you feel about the gameplay?
There is no gameplay tag on this. There is cinematography and artistry. Cinematography also might get a thumbs up.
Just
Yeah,
that
I can-
non-Euclidean room.
Yeah.
Because we didn't talk about the practical effects that did that, where he was walking underneath the platform and then slides up over onto it to stand up straight. Like, the cinematography for that entire sequence alone deserves a thumb up.
And I also enjoy like the intro segment when they were trying to prove that nothing is as it seems when she moves between the walls, which otherwise looked perfectly like walls.
Yeah. So yeah, there's that. So I'll give a thumbs up to that.
Also the hand scene.
The hand scene's also really good, as creepy as it is. So yeah. Is there anything we want to call out in yay or nay?
Eggplant. No,
Eggplant?
let's not. Never mind.
Oh, right, Bowie's bulge. Yay eggplant, and also nay eggplant.
It's a double-edged sword, Bowie's bulge.
I'm pretty sure it's not edged.
That's fair, yeah.
It's a double blunted sword.
I have nothing to actually legitimately put in yay or nay.
Yeah, because it's an hour and 40 minutes, so it's a very nice length.
So yeah, length in.
God damn it!
Perfectly average length.
That's not average. Oh, I said the moment
See,
that
I
that
know-
word
I know
came out of
my
my
fir-
mouth.
I know my first name. Lolo knows him by length.
Uh,
How do we end this fucking podcast?
let's figure out now. Okay.
Dick jokes.
Yeah. So that's it for Labyrinth. So yeah, before we leave, Axe, is there anything you want to plug?
You can find me on twitch.tv/aximmortal.
Okay. Stove.
I'm at twitch.tv/portable stove, not playing any Labyrinth related games. Oh, hey, I wanted to bring up as well. I did take a quick look because I wasn't there for the Labyrinth Famicom game. I don't know how you played that longer than I watched it. It was like I watched like 4 minutes of it and
Yeah,
just
we played it for about 10. Like we did not play it for long. It is not a very interesting.
yeah. So the movie much better than the game. I will not be playing the game. Twitch.tv/portable stove.
right. Torpo.
Fucking twitch.tv/torpotypist and at torpotypist on Twitter. And I would like to plug up this entire fucking disgusting swamp.
Yes. All right. So after this, now that we're done with Labyrinth, we will be returning to East because I thought that East Book 1 was going to require 2 episodes. It did not. So we are instead going to move on to East 2 as OVA, which is the subtitle Castle Heavens, which is a very different thing than the East 1 OVA. So be sure to tune into that one. So thank you all for listening. This has been another episode of Media Delta. If you would like to view the entire list of rankings for yourself, you can go to r3.ldp.life to see the Resonance and Essence list that Media Delta covers, as well as the other lists that are covered by our sister show, Retro Rank Rhapsody. If you'd like to watch Retro Rank Rhapsody, you can watch it live on Fridays at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Saturdays at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and Sundays at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, live on Twitch at twitch.tv/loadedpuzzlo. Or you can view any of the episodes anytime at youtube.ldp.life. If you would like to help with hosting costs, you can go to patreon.ldp.life and help out with a $2 or $5 pledge. If you would like to discuss this episode and any other episode of our community, you can join our Discord server at discord.ldp.life. If you want to follow the show on Twitter, you can follow it at Hazeltown Story, or you can follow me, your host, at LoloThePuzzlo. Thank you for listening, and I hope you come back for the next episode.